Hello, Raiders. Welcome back to Prepcast. I'm Devin Roy, and today we have a special guest, our head of school, Frank Steele. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good to be here.
So, the reason I have you on today is to reflect upon your time here. You've been here since 2014, but before we get into that, let's talk about why you came here in the first place. So, we were just talking about how you came from Philadelphia. Why Gulliver?
When you decide to leave a head's job, you generally leave the city that you're in. Schools don't tend to hire you in the same city where you already were, that everyone's looking for something new. Also, I was at a stage in my life with my wife where we could sort of go anywhere. My children were in New York and in San Francisco, and so we decided we would find an adventure. The good news and the long and short of it is I ended up here in Miami at Gulliver, and it's been 12 of the best years of my life.
All right. Is there any particular reason that drew you to Gulliver in particular? Because there's a lot of schools in Miami.
So, like I said, we were looking for an adventure. I had my papers in London, Rome, Hong Kong, Korea, California, and Miami. And so, one of the things that was attractive was it was in a place that had a very unique culture. And the other was that it gave me an opportunity to come to a school that believed a lot of the same things as the school where I had been, but it was a much bigger, broader operation, and it was sort of my school on steroids. Gulliver, as you know, as an experience, it's not like other places.
Yeah. So looking back, like when you came into Gulliver, you're thrown right into being the head of school. What was your first impression of the Gulliver community? Well, of course, it was a lot bigger than your old school, but could you like elaborate more about what that was like just first coming into the school?
Sure. What I realized really quickly was life in the tropics is very different than life in a New England type of city. The weather is different. The culture in Miami is very cosmopolitan and very worldly and very Latin. And so there was a dynamism and a joy to the lifestyle in Miami that was amazing. And Gulliver really embodied a lot of that. Students were having incredible opportunities to do real work in the real world. Quick story, when I was here in my first year, I was invited back to my old school to do the graduation speech the next year. And so my topic for the speech, essentially to the small school that I came from, to the graduates, was you guys are in trouble. Like the students that are here at my new school are doing things that you haven't even considered doing yet. And so Gulliver just struck me as a place where there was so much possibility and so much opportunity for kids, and I was really excited to be part of it.
Yeah, unparalleled is what they go by here. So you've been here 12 years. Is there anything in particular or anything in general that you've learned about yourself as a leader during your time here?
I learned a lot about myself. My wife and I had a funny little phrase. When we first got here, we said we were going to live by the motto, the answer is yes, what's the question? And so we were just going to do everything that we could to be part of the community, to experience whatever the exciting things of Miami or Gulliver were. And so we started traveling to Central and South America to understand some of the roots of our community. We just did a lot of things that made it so we were constantly experiencing what was going on in and around us. And so we were able to really embrace the community in a different way, and the community was so welcoming to us that we were happy all the time. And so I think it carried into the things that we were able to do. So in my leadership position, I was able to think about where was Gulliver 12 years ago, and what were the things that were part of what students needed to head to colleges that they wanted to go to and to be primed to be successful in the world that was beyond college. And so there were some things we were doing really well, and there were some things where we were able to improve and make it a more full and dynamic experience for our students. So I had great leadership opportunities when I got here to help Gulliver think about where we could get as a school and for our students.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I mean, I'm a sophomore. I've been here 2 years, and the school, I mean, with the Yonders and everything, it's definitely changed from what it was in the middle school. But you've been here a while, so under your leadership, what are some of like the big changes that have happened, just so like I and other people who are students here like know what it was like before we came?
So I think this interview session that we're having is an example. So one of the things we started working on was changing from a teacher-centered classroom to a student-centered classroom. And what that really means is students not being told, here's the 5 things you need to know about World War II or World War One, and memorize it and I'll test you on it next week. It's more like learning how to do broadcasting and to create stories and to think about what's the impact of certain people or certain changes on a community. And so part of what we're trying to do is have students have the opportunity to experience real life through their work at school and to be able to create things that make a difference to them and that they can understand what it looks like to solve a problem in the real world.
All right. And then I know there's a lot of highs and a lot of lows. Like, to talk about like the highs. What were some accomplishments or
So, I think the room that we're sitting in the building that we're sitting in, is an example of some of the highs. When I got here, we were very sort of facility deficient. At the younger campus, we didn't have a gym, and we built the Center for Student Life, where we have all those great facilities. There's a new gym. There's different kinds of classroom spaces for robotics and engineering and the Raider Student Network and some of those kinds of classrooms that we didn't have those rooms, so it was hard for students to be given access to those kinds of experiences. So the actual building work that we've done has been a huge part of the change in Gulliver, where we're thinking about what are the facilities we need to help students like you plan your future life after Gulliver, and some of the skills and experiences that you need to be able to get there. Part of it is just changing the facilities, and part of it is changing our mindset about our programs. And so we've tried to be very explicit that we want students to have those real world experiences in the classrooms. And we also want to make sure that while we're giving students all these opportunities and having all these expectations for them, that we're also taking care of you all and making sure that your health and well-being is as good as it can be. So I think it's a real success for us that we've added so many things that help students take on really significant challenges, but at the same time be able to be young people and enjoy their life too.
yeah, it's definitely what I see. Like, that's definitely what drew me to the school. I'm sure that's what drew other people to school, like facilities and how it's different than just like textbook learning. And so we've talked about the highs, but now let's get a little bit into like the challenges and how the challenges that you face and how you overcame them.
So, change is hard for people. When someone changes your routines, like this year, we're sort of with students, we're focusing on the norms, dress code, and class on time and school on time and all those things. And there's been some resistance to that because people like what they were doing, not sort of new routines. So I think one of the harder things was thinking through how do we create the culture for Gulliver that we wanted to see in terms of teachers thinking about teaching differently and students thinking about sort of behaving differently. Not everyone loves to just read or study and take a test, but it's a system that you know. And then when the work becomes something different than that, and you have to participate in class in a different way, and you have to do other things around school in a different way, like the yonder pouches, like not being able to get lost in your phone for 20 minutes between classes. Like those changes in routine are complicated for people. And so we've worked really hard to think through how do we make those things happen. So that was one challenge. Another challenge was sort of thinking about what was Gulliver's place in the local admissions world, and we've worked really hard to try and become the school of choice in Miami, to make sure that we have programs that are right for a broad cross section of the population of Miami, and it's really worked. Like I think we quadrupled our applications, and we're able to be very selective about who gets to come to Gulliver. And I think the result is a really vibrant student community that, you can tell me, but I'm thinking it's a pretty good place to be a student.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, you're not going to be head of school anymore after this year. What do you hope your students and faculty will remember you like the most out of you throughout your time here?
Great question. So it's hard to think about your legacy. It's sort of the work that you do creates your legacy for you. And I think what I'm happy about and what I hope people feel is that I arrived and I was willing to take some time to understand what was going on, but I was also willing to take some stands and make some changes that I think have paid off in the long term that weren't maybe necessarily as popular in the short term. again, anytime you change something, you run the risk of people not wanting to do it. But I think the school community has really embraced the direction that we've gone in as a school, and I think that having the opportunity to be known as a guy who helped Gulliver become a better school than it was before I was here, that would make me happy. Is if more people than not thought, "Wow, Gulliver changed for the better under Frank Steele," that would make me happy.
I love that, and it definitely has during my time here, at least. Is there like students or like are particular like stories of teachers or students that are like stayed with you or impacted you personally?
Of course, schools are intensely human places, and so I think one of the things I remember most fondly is my first year. I was able to be a little bit off the radar. I'm not sure everyone even knew why I was here, and so I was able to participate in programs in a way that I sort of don't have the opportunity to now for time and other responsibilities. But one of the best trips I went on was with a group of students who were in a marine biology class, and we went to the Bahamas and we tagged rays. Um, yeah, and so
Sick.
we were literally waist deep in the water with a net corralling manta rays, and then putting trackers on them so that they could be followed and scientists could understand sort of that middle level of marine life. And so that to me that was students doing something that was so real and so exciting and so different than school that I realized as I was in a different place, and that I was going to have the chance to continue to build programs like that. And it would be wrong of me to pick one person and say that name, but what I will say is I have, over my 12 years, had so many, particularly faculty members, who were willing to embrace the change when some of the other faculty weren't embracing it, and they helped make it happen that Gulliver is a different place than it was 12 years ago. I say often I get to take all the credit for a change that other people actually do the hard work for, and so I'm so appreciative of the willingness of people to look at a concept and decide, I'm going to do that. And then also for the friendships that I've been able to build. You come here, as I did 12 years ago, I knew nobody here. And I have an incredible network of friends. I've been hosted in their home country by Gulliver families. The experience I've had of support and friendship has been unparalleled.
Yeah, I'm sure the community is like so much different than what it was like a while ago, but same in like the ways of like the values of the school. I can't even imagine that. So as we wrap this up, if you would leave one message behind the school community, what would it be?
So when Mr. Hess came, I told him my wife and my strategy of say yes to everything, basically. And so I would say students and faculty will have the most exciting and probably most successful outcomes if they're willing to embrace things they haven't done before. It's easy to keep doing things that you know. The excitement comes in trying things that you don't know, and maybe they turn out to be something you don't want to do a lot more of, but just the experience of trying something new in a real way. Like, it's easy to say try something new, but if you actually join a team that you've never played the sport before, or you go on a trip to a place that you're not sure you're going to be comfortable there, or those kinds of things, that willingness to experiment and to try something that's outside of your comfort zone is going to make you a bigger, better sort of person.
Yeah, I love that, and I've really enjoyed it. I went to Taiwan in June actually with the Chinese program. I've been to a couple trips for journalism. We're going to Tennessee in November. So to be fair, you're not leaving the school. What's to come? Like, what's the new position for you next year?
So I think the title we're talking about is head emeritus, which is it's not a ceremonial position, but it's a position where you have less day-to-day responsibility over things. And so Mr. Hess and I talk frequently about what my role will be, and it will be to help guide some of the initiatives that are already taking shape in the new strategic plan. And as we move the school forward, what are the things that need some oversight and some thinking and some follow through in order to get put into place. And so it's an ideal scenario for me because I get to do really interesting things with a little bit less focus on the day-to-day issues of school.
All right, and that's where we'll leave it. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, Mr. Steele, for your time.
Devin, thank you. Really enjoyed it.
No problem. Yeah. All right, and I'll see you guys next week.